You know, it's funny, when I first started doing this, I made the statement at the time that 100% of everything I read online was inaccurate. I mean, literally. So everything I read online, there was nothing that was accurate about any of it. It's been a while, so things have gotten better. But it's just interesting how there's a lot of misconceptions out there about the process. But the best analogy I've come up with is, this is a title transfer. A silencer is a title transfer. And no matter what the question is, remind yourself it's a title transfer. So when you go buy a truck, the title is held by the dealership, and the state transfers the title of ownership from the dealership to the individual. Now that's a state thing. This is a federal thing. So the feds have us as the title holder of your silencer. We ask them to retitle the ownership from us to either you or your trust. They charge $200 to process that title transfer. And then once that transfer is the title of transfer is done, that comes back approved to us, and then we can mail you the silencer. So people talk about this tax stamp. So there's a stamp they put on there when they approve it. And basically it's a $200 stamp. People are like, well, why do I have to pay that? Well, when you buy a truck and you go to do a title transfer, the clerk of court or county is going to charge you a fee to retitle it. Same thing with a silencer. It's a tax. So basically Congress wanted to regulate firearms, and the best way for them to do it was through a tax. They're in charge of taxes, and they created a tax, and their hope was it would decrease interest in them. You know, if you look historically, and I've read tons on this, it's hard to ever pin down exactly why silencers are so highly regulated. Because people just go ballistic about, why is this so highly regulated? You can buy them in Europe over the counter. You know, I've been to Europe. You can't buy the gun over the counter. So it's harder to get a gun in Europe than it is to get the silencer is in the US. It's easy to get a silencer in Europe, but it's impossible to get the gun to put it on, where the reverse is kind of true here. If you look at the legislative history of silencers, it appears as if there was some people worried that there would be poaching of cattle or other. In other words, you might poach your neighbor's farm animals to eat during the Depression. So what we're going to do is make it highly regulated to buy these so that you won't do that. And honestly, I don't think there's enough people who knew enough about them to go, whoa, that's not true, or that's not going to happen, or maybe there was an isolated incident where it was happening. But that's the premise or the history behind it. The theory is that it was regulated because of the Depression. So the wait time to get these things, it's based on ATF staffing. It's based on their technological ability to process the form. People hear it's long, they think, gosh, why is it taking so long? It's a bottleneck. I mean, if you have 25 employees, you have 1 million applications, it's gonna take a while. So the reverse is true as well. If you have, 1,000 employees and you have 100,000 applications, then it's gonna go quicker. I think the hard part is Republicans traditionally have been against additional ATF funding because they feel like it regulates gun owners. And because there's always been sort of a Republican type push against funding ATF, it's been hard for us to convince our Republican Congress members to put additional funding towards this. At one time we had an entire digital process where we would upload everything to the ATF, they would approve it and email us an approval. That system crashed within a couple of months because it was overutilized. Everyone loved it. They couldn't believe it. I mean, it just went crazy. The problem with that $200 tax is that goes to the Treasury. So that money does not go to ATF. So basically, as the popularity of these have increased, there's not been any additional funding for the people who process these applications. So they have a shoestring budget, and popularity's doing this, and their staffing level's doing this, and they got no money to sort of technologically advanced scanning or barcode process. Those type of things just have not been available like they need to be. They're making advancements. I think they'll move to a digital process soon. I think that will speed up the process and probably even make them more popular. Because in my mind, one of the biggest difficulties is I gotta wait how long for this thing? It's funny because now we're seeing shorter timelines, and even when you tell them a shorter timeline, they're still like, really? That long? We're like, talk to your buddies, it's been 3 times that.